I'm just flagging this up at the moment because this appeared in the National 2 days ago. Report suggests Jack could block Scottish misogyny legislation. Jack referring here to Alistair Jack, the Scottish Secretary of State. Now, as we know, he's done that before. Back at the start of 2023, Holyrood passed the Gender Recognition and Reform Act, but it didn't become an act because Alistair Jack stepped in before it went to Royal Assent, and he said that you cannot pass that. I'm not going to allow that to go to the King for his signature. And so it never became law. And people have said, well, why couldn't that have been done with the Hate Speech Act? Well, indeed, it could have been done, but unfortunately it was passed by Holyrood back in March 21, and it went to Royal Assent 2 or 3 weeks thereafter. And once that happens, it's not so easy for the Secretary of State to stop it. Indeed, under current legislation, it wouldn't be possible for the Secretary of State to stop it. However, if the Secretary of State really wanted to, because it is the British government could pass a law which could rescind, which could repeal any law that has already got Royal Assent. If they wanted, they could do that, but there's no mechanisms under present law for that to happen. Anyway, with this one, with this potential misogyny legislation, it says here, a source told the newspaper, quote, Scottish Secretary Alistair Jack has already humiliated the Scottish Government once by kiboshing the GRR bill, and he is more than willing to do so again. The Conservatives can see SNP gender policy is completely out of step with public opinion, and there are also legitimate concerns over whether Scottish legislation on the issue could have a detrimental impact on existing UK law. If it is the case that a Scottish misogyny law was going to water down the definition of what a woman actually is, to the extent that existing protections for women could be weakened rather than strengthened, then the UK government will act to block it. Close quote. Very interesting that that's on their radar, and that possibility is on their radar. And if they did block it, it's almost certainly going to be around what's said here as legitimate concerns over whether Scottish legislation on the issue could have a detrimental impact on existing UK law, because that's the reasoning which they used to block the GRR bill before it went to Royal Assent. So we might be watching that happen again if indeed this misogyny law is passed before the general election and Alistair Jack is still in place. If it is passed after the general election, and if we have a Labour government in power, then it's possible that they'll just let that fly and they'll just let that happen.